December 1980. Rendlesham Forest, a dense pine woodland in Suffolk, England, adjacent to the twin NATO air bases of RAF Bentwaters and RAF Woodbridge. The bases, operated primarily by the United States Air Force under a lease agreement with the British government, housed the 81st Tactical Fighter Wing and were considered among the most sensitive installations in Europe during the Cold War. In the early hours of December 26, 1980, just after midnight into Boxing Day, security patrolmen from RAF Woodbridge observed unusual lights descending into the forest approximately 1 mile east of the East Gate. Airman First Class John Burroughs and Staff Sergeant Bud Steffens were on routine patrol when they noticed bright lights unlike any aircraft they had seen. Initially assuming it was a plane crash, they reported the sighting to the Central Security Control. Sergeant Jim Peniston, their shift supervisor, joined them, and the three men received permission to investigate off-base. Driving toward the forest, they observed a glowing object illuminating the trees. Leaving their vehicle, they proceeded on foot through rough terrain. As they approached, Peniston later described seeing a small triangular craft approximately 9 feet across at the base, hovering just above the ground or resting on thin legs. The object emitted brilliant white and blue light, with a pulsing red light on top and blue lights underneath. Peniston reported the surface was smooth, black, and glass-like, with strange symbols etched around its side resembling hieroglyphs. He claimed to have touched the craft, feeling it warm and smooth, and recorded the symbols in his notebook. After approximately 45 minutes, the object rose silently above the trees, maneuvering with incredible agility between the pines before accelerating away at extraordinary speed toward the coast. The men returned to base and filed an official report. Lieutenant Colonel Charles I, Halt, deputy base commander, was informed the next morning. Halt later noted the initial report described a mechanical object rather than mere lights. Radiation readings were taken at the site later that day by training wing personnel using an N/PDR 27 Geiger counter. Readings were reportedly 10 times background levels in 3 depressions in the ground forming a triangle, and slightly elevated on nearby trees where branches faced the landing site. The incident might have ended there, but 2 nights later, in the early hours of December 28th, it escalated dramatically. In the early hours of December 28th, 1980, Deputy Base Commander Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt received reports of renewed activity in Rendlesham Forest. Sergeant Adrian Bustinza and several other security personnel had observed strange lights moving through the trees near the original site. Halt, a career officer with a reputation for professionalism and skepticism toward UFO claims, decided to lead a team to investigate personally. Accompanied by about a dozen men, including Sergeant Bustinza, Airman Burroughs, and radiation survey team members, Halt brought a handheld tape recorder, flashlights, and a Geiger counter. The group left the base around midnight and proceeded into the forest. What followed was documented in real time on Halt's now famous audio recording. An 18-minute tape that has become one of the most compelling pieces of evidence in ufology. As they entered the clearing from the first night, the Geiger counter registered elevated readings in the triangular depressions. Halt noted on tape, "We're picking up readings about 3 to 4 clicks on the meter, higher in the center of the triangle." The men observed a flashing red light to the south, moving through the trees. Halt described it as twinkling and resembling an aircraft beacon, but behaved erratically, hovering, darting, and changing direction abruptly. Then, the light appeared to explode silently into 5 white objects that maneuvered across the sky. Halt's voice on the tape conveys growing astonishment. "We see strange, strobe-like flashes in the sky. Pieces of it are shooting off. The group pursued the lights deeper into the forest. Halt reported a glowing red-orange object, resembling an eye with a dark center, dripping molten-like material. It maneuvered through the trees, illuminating the ground with a beam of light that swept back and forth. At one point, Halt directed his men to aim starlight scopes, night vision devices, at the object. Through the scopes, they saw a structured craft with a bright light sweeping the forest floor, as if searching. The object approached the group, hovering silently above them. Halt described it as a huge mechanical object emitting beams of light that came uncomfortably close. The men felt static electricity and heard radio interference. After several minutes, the object ascended rapidly and vanished. Additional lights were seen over the coast, moving at high speed and performing right-angled turns. Halt's tape captures the tension. It's coming this way. It's definitely coming this way. Pieces are shooting off. There's no doubt about it. This is weird. The investigation lasted over 3 hours. Upon returning to base, Halt prepared a formal memo dated January 13th, 1981, addressed to the British Ministry of Defense. The memo, now declassified, described unexplained lights and a metallic triangular object that illuminated the forest. In the days following, base personnel reported continued activity. Lights over the forest, beams shining into the weapons storage area, a highly sensitive nuclear-capable facility. Peniston and Burroughs, who were closest on the first night, later claimed more detailed encounters. Peniston described receiving a telepathic binary code download while touching the craft. Burroughs reported health effects, including vision problems, attributed to radiation exposure from the event. The Rendlesham Forest incident did not end with Colonel Halt's investigation. In the weeks and months following, the case took on layers of official scrutiny, internal conflict, and enduring controversy. Halt's January 13th, 1981 memo to the Ministry of Defense described the events in measured terms. Unexplained lights, a triangular object illuminating the ground, and rapid departure. The memo was classified for UK eyes only and circulated within RAF and MOD channels. British authorities responded cautiously. Lord Hill Norton, former Chief of the Defence Staff, questioned the MOD in Parliament, but received assurances that no threat to national security existed. The official file, released in 2002, contains Halt's memo and witness statements, but concludes the lights were likely the Orford Ness Lighthouse, combined with stars and aircraft beacons. This explanation has been widely criticized. The lighthouse, visible from the base, was familiar to personnel and did not match the described close-range maneuvers or ground-level object. Radar at RAF Bentwaters reportedly detected an unknown target correlating with the sightings, though records remain classified or missing. American involvement added complexity. As a U.S.-operated base, the incident fell under USAF jurisdiction. Colonel Ted Conrad, base commander, downplayed the events internally. Halt later claimed pressure from higher command to minimize the report. Witnesses faced varying treatment. Jim Peniston and John Burroughs, closest on the first night, reported health effects. Burroughs suffered eye damage and heart problems, later winning a VA disability claim linked to radiation exposure from Rendlesham, a rare acknowledgement. Peniston, initially reticent, revealed more over time. He described examining the craft symbols, triangular and circular markings, and experiencing a telepathic binary code download. Decades later, he decoded the message as coordinates and philosophical statements, though this remains controversial even among believers. Sergeant Adrian Bustinza, present on the second night, gave conflicting accounts under alleged pressure. In later interviews, he describes seeing a structured craft on the ground and high-ranking officers present, including General Gordon Williams. The case gained public attention in 1983 when the News of the World published Halt's memo, obtained via Freedom of Information Act. Nick Pope, former MOD UFO desk officer, reviewed the files and concluded the lighthouse explanation inadequate, calling Rendlesham the UK's most significant case. Comparisons to Roswell are frequent. Military base, structured craft, physical traces, radiation readings, witness intimidation, and official dismissal. Both involve alleged retrieval or close examination of unknown technology. Skeptics propose prosaic explanations. Misidentified lighthouse beams refracted by mist, bright stars, Sirius and Venus, fireballs, or Soviet probe reentry. Yet none fully account for the structured object described by multiple trained observers, physical depressions, radiation spikes, or Halt's real-time recording. The forest site has been examined repeatedly. In 2000, investigators found slightly elevated radiation in the triangle area. Tree analysis showed damage consistent with intense heat or radiation on the side facing the landing spot. Over 4 decades, witnesses have spoken at conferences and documentaries. Halt, Peniston, and Burroughs co-authored books detailing their experiences. A 2010 reunion brought many together, their accounts aligning on key points despite years apart. The incident influenced official policy. It contributed to growing calls for transparency, echoed in later U.S. disclosures and UK file releases. Rendlesham challenges easy categorization. Trained military personnel, not prone to fantasy, described a mechanical object performing beyond known technology. Physical evidence, though modest, corroborated their observations. An audio recording captures the event in real time. What landed in Rendlesham Forest over those Christmas nights in 1980? Was it experimental technology, American, Soviet, or otherwise? An atmospheric phenomenon amplified by expectation, or something truly unexplained, demonstrating capabilities far beyond human engineering at the time? The witnesses, career officers and airmen, maintain they encountered something extraordinary. Their testimony, supported by traces and documentation, forms one of the strongest cases in the catalog of unidentified aerial phenomena. In a forest near a nuclear-armed base, during the height of Cold War tension, something descended from the sky, interacted with the ground, and departed, observed by dozens, recorded by a senior officer, and documented officially. The Rendlesham Forest incident endures not because of sensationalism, but because of the credibility of those who were there, and the questions their experience continues to raise about what may operate, undetected or unexplained, in our skies.